What's up, Chanel gang? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about a little bit about what's going on in my life right now. It's always good to talk things out, write things out, in my opinion, even pray. I'm actually multitasking right now. I'm going to be cutting up some food and talking so that when I'm done I can eat. I feel like it's always good to talk things out until they don't bother you anymore, or to write them out sometimes. My way of kind of getting over things is to talk about it until it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't know, that's just me. I do like to write as well, but I think that talking is just a really good way for me to express myself. And this is Chanel's life, so you guys get a good portion of what's going on in my life. I'm at that point where I want to talk about whatever, and I don't care who gets upset, because this is my perception of things. This is my life. This is my way of expressing myself and also growing. If you've been following my life and stuff on this channel, then you basically know about what's going on with my health. If you don't, go catch up. Go play catch up. I've had a select few of people who check up on me daily or every other day, just encouraging me. And it's not so much that like I need that from people, because I'm good over here. I do have my dad and Jennifer. I don't need people to call and check up on me. I've kind of always been understanding when it comes to people having their own lives and things like that. So it was never that, but I did appreciate those who were just like, I don't know, making things easier, because it wasn't easy not knowing what's wrong with you. It's not easy, wondering if, just thinking bad thoughts. We all do it sometimes. We overthink or whatever. So I went on Facebook. That's where my family and friends are. I went on Facebook and made like a public thank you to those few people. I'm not gonna say names now because they already know what it is, or like they already know like what the post was or whatever, so I don't really need to go into detail. But it was just a basic public thank you for checking on me and calling and whatever, just encouraging me. I said, public thank you to blah, 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 blah. I love y'all beyond words. Thank you for all your encouragement and daily checkups. This heart condition turned into a cardiologist appointment that turned into more things I need to deal with. No need to go into details, but each of you have played a big role in my life lately. For that, I'm grateful. I just pray God keeps me on this earth to raise my babies and see them turn into parents, etc. No questions asked. I know I can depend on y'all. Now, that was what I said to those handful of people. And I get how it could come off as, dang, like a slap in the face, or feeling like chopped liver. Like, I get how it can feel like that to those who I am still close with, or I do know I can depend on. But in the post, it does say like, I pray God keeps me here for my children, etc. Because those few people know that like I was struggling with thinking that bad things could happen. So a couple people either got offended or feelings were hurt, etc. And it's very much understandable. Again, it is very understandable. Had I been in that position, I would almost feel like I might take it the wrong way at first, but I have to understand as well that those people are calling daily, checking up daily, encouraging daily, and this person is just saying, if things go wrong, we know that y'all ain't gonna play the background, or if things go wrong, I know I can at least call you and not feel like I'm bothering, whatever. It was never to throw anybody in a box and say this is the less than box or anything like that, but a few people made Facebook statuses, a couple people made Twitter posts, some people texted me, and some people just, I would say one person just flat out was not feeling that post at all. And so I had to kind of check myself and go back and think like, how would I feel, you know? And honestly, like I said, I'm just so understanding that I see what you're saying. Like, they're calling and checking up on you, you know what I'm saying? It don't have to be every day that I do, but you know, there is people who have checked up on me frequently, and I appreciate it. It was just those few people have been made to look like the bad guy so many times in other situations, or they have had their fair share of not feeling appreciated, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I was just thinking like, you know, I'm gonna show some appreciation. Like, I was tired. I'm pretty sure this is the day I went to the cardiologist, maybe the day after, and I was just feeling like, okay, I'm gonna show some appreciation, blah, 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 blah. Well, I had to talk some things out with people. And again, some people felt like I wasn't being clear and open with my condition, so they felt like it wasn't their place. Some people said, yeah, they did feel offended, but then they had to take a step back and understand, which is all good. I'm not mad at any of those people for feeling how they're feeling, because I made them feel away too, you know? But then there was other people who just kind of sent prayers and didn't say nothing else about it. At that moment, I was just kind of annoyed with myself, because I was like, damn, you could have made a post saying, you know, thank you to everyone who checked up on me, and thank you to everyone who has sent me their love, wishes, and I wasn't thinking that way. My intentions behind the post were good, but I wasn't thinking that way. So that probably did hurt a couple feelings, but at the same time, like, I was just saying, they were checking up on me. They were calling, texting, whatever. It's not like I depend on that type of thing. I've never been that type to just be like, ugh, this person doesn't call me every day, or this person doesn't text me every day. It was never like that. So then I kind of brushed that off. Well, something had to happen between, I want to say Wednesday and Thursday, literally, because it was just a day span, where my mother, you guys don't know too much about her, my biological mother, went on Facebook and made a status that was, you know, she was expressing her feelings or whatever. Some things as a parent, I don't understand why people would do certain things, but you know, it's all good. I'm not them, they ain't me, and I have to learn to be understanding still. But her status came off basically like, kind of like she was being aggressive, you know? So I'm not gonna go into details about what is said right now, because I don't feel like I need to. I'm not ready for that part. I'm not ready to talk about that part. But it was just a couple things that she said that I personally didn't understand why we couldn't have that talk together. But she also felt the same way about me with certain things. So I don't know if some of you guys know, but me and my dad's daughter, we're not speaking because of certain reasons, which part of it's my fault, but part of it is also hers. I do take accountability for most of those things, but she very much should as well. One night, and it was very much soon after I moved into my house, I was here. I think I did stay with them for some days, maybe even like 5 days, but soon, not long after I moved in, we were on the phone talking, and I would have liked to call it venting to each other. At the time, we were talking about how we've felt as children in our homes, and you know, but basically I just wanted to be that big sister that kind of tried to make, because I did live a sort of an uneasy life as a child. Some things, I wouldn't say my whole life, but a good little portion of my life was uneasy. And you know, certain things that happened in my life, I like to think they should not happen to children at all. So I was kind of like trying to give my side of how I was raised, and you know, I might have said some things that maybe people in my life wouldn't have wanted people to know, but at the end of the day, it happened to me as well. I was involved. So yes, I brought things up, and so what? Like, it was a part of my life as well. Like, I still have to deal with remembering things. I still have, you know, dreams about certain things. And, you know, I also brought up my best friend, elementary school friend passing and how that hurt me. You know, I brought up a lot of things, but certain situations were more personal, and it's my story from my perception. I'm allowed to tell it because you want to know what? I grew from it. As a child, I was like, yeah, if I ever have children, I would never do some of these things to them. And again, I told someone else's business, meaning I told, you know, what went on in my mother's house. And when I was in her care, I told things that went on. And, you know, as soon as Wednesday hit, I realized maybe I should have never told. Before Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, I should have realized that I should have never, you know, spoke about those things. But that's also, it was my way of venting. I really have never been able to go to my mother about things that happened to me as a child or situations that I was put in as a child, just for the simple fact that I knew I did not want to cause chaos. I didn't want to disrupt positive energies. You know, I didn't want to bring up things yet, because I would have on my own terms. I didn't want to bring up things that would have hurt feelings, because lo and behold, like, some of those things could have been prevented, and I think she knows that as well. Was I ever holding it against her? No. If anything, I was trying to make it a point that everyone has a story. It's up to you to grow from it. Because like I said, I would not do most of those things to my children. I would definitely grow from it, and things that were said and may have not been said and may have been misconstrued or whatever went back to my mother. So she made a Facebook status, and I knew a lot of it was towards me. Hello, I'm not dumb. I know my mother. I know when something's about me or not, you know. So, you know, she felt like she should go to Facebook instead of calling and texting me. But she felt the same way about me. Well, you should have, you know, instead of ha ha he he laughing in my face, you should have told me on FaceTime how you really felt. When you bring up trauma that happened in your life and someone else's life, like hers, there's no just saying, oh, well, mom, I feel this way. Especially when you have a mother like mine. I'm going to eat on camera. You know, there's been a time where I've tried to talk to my mother about things and it may have went wrong. Like, I remember one time I said something about my brother cussing in high school and staying out until 6 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, I just made a joke like, oh, mom, if that was me, you would have knocked my head off, you know? And she was like, trying to tell me, no, I wouldn't have. And it was kind of that thing where I was like, well, I could barely say, you know, like, I was just trying to say, hey, like, this is how I feel. When I was in high school, you would have never allowed those things. None of us were allowed to cuss in the home. It may have been funny. We had a free day where we were allowed to cuss and we were allowed to do these things. My brother literally was cussing on a regular in the home. And she even made a comment about him staying out till 6 in the morning talking about, well, you're a girl, he's a boy, he can't get pregnant, you can. But in the same sense, you know, here's a good little example. I can get pregnant once, maybe have multiple babies, you know, at one time. Like I did, I had twins. But he can get 10 girls pregnant at one time. And I will be just pregnant the one time each time. Maybe multiples, yeah. But, you know, so it was certain things like that. Like, she was mad. I said that and she was mad. And, you know, I knew then, this was maybe, I didn't even have the twins yet. So I knew then that I could not just go to her about certain things. And I had to prepare myself and make sure I articulated my words correctly. Because sure enough, there may be situations that happened back then that may not have exactly happened that way. But most of the stories that I know, I can go to one of my siblings, especially my sister, and be like, hey, did this happen? And she'd be like, yep. Because we've been through some things and our mind did not make those things up. It actually happened. Whether it was over exaggerated because we were children, but it still happened. They told her things and she felt like I was talking crap, and they said something to her about dealing with toxic parents and shit like that. Like, a lot of people have toxic ways. I still do to this day, but I just felt like the older I got, the more I realized, like, wow, this is gonna be harder than I thought. That's my childhood. Some of the things that I did growing up was a way of acting out because I couldn't talk, I couldn't express myself. Hell, half the time I did, I got in trouble for expressing myself or being literally told that I could not feel that way, you know? So it's no excuse, but as an adult, I don't make no excuses for, well, that's because it happened in the past, so I'm doing it now. No, I don't make excuses. So, you know, she made a status, 2 statuses. At that point, like, I was just kind of done trying, because there's been more than one time where I felt like I have to prepare myself to maybe just not speak to her, because certain things just don't get worked out, and I like to work things out. You know, I've talked to my dad, and there's some ways that he said it, but there's more ways that he's grown from, and I can vent about what I felt he did to me in the past as well. Because sure enough, parents aren't perfect. They didn't have no guidebook. Excuse me, I'm gonna pray real quick. Well, they didn't have a guidebook. They didn't have guidance. We have the internet. At least we know there's ways we could probably talk to our children. I do the breathing practices with King. I would have never known to do that. Growing up the way I did, I would have never known to do that unless I literally read books, forced myself. If we didn't have social media, I would have never known to do stuff like that because of how I was raised. And I'm not making an excuse for how, like, you know, that's not an excuse, but it's also like, that's all I know is yelling, getting hit on, and, you know, fine, whoop your children, but yelling, getting whoopings, getting punched, being ignored, you know, things like that. Maybe I would have never ignored, like, but you know, there was no guidebook. So my parents didn't have a guidebook. They didn't have things like that we have, you know? So anyway, I was confused. Was it my status? Because I didn't tag my mom in that status that I made when it said thank you for calling, because she didn't call me every day or text at least every day, you know? And there was a situation where I felt like she lied to me, and I found out later that she did, but it just started all over. Like, my past just started coming back all over, and I'm like preparing myself for it not to happen again, or preparing myself for this to be the final time that it happens. So I felt like she lied to me. I wouldn't even say I know my mother, but I do kind of know her. And I felt like she was lying to me. It was the principle behind it. You know, I have these heart issues, and you're choosing to stay home because you don't, you know, certain situations, instead of coming to help me, but then you lied about why you couldn't help me, you know? So that's another story as well. Not holding it against her. It is what it is. But anyway, my intuition told me that my sister's mother went and told my mom what we talked about that night, because my mom didn't tell me nothing. She went straight to Facebook. She didn't even say, you know, well, why are you telling my business? Whoop-de-woo. Like, she went straight to Facebook. So I felt like it was the post and it was my sister's mother. So here I am still trying to, you know, get confirmation to see if it was or not. And like I said, it was. And it was just kind of like that sort of thing where it was like, girl, you should have knew that was coming. If every other situation can be put on the internet, I mean, you should have known this was coming. I don't know who exactly went to her, what was said to her, what she said to them, but if I know any better, I know that none of it was really good, you know what I'm saying? Like, I moved down here for support, meaning I moved away because I felt like I had a better chance at changing my life down here, not only because I wanted to get away from, you know, I wanted to get away from David or whatever the case may have been, but because literally I had people to watch the kids, people to watch the kids for a few hours or whatever, but that's also another story. So basically all I'm saying is all of that went down. She went to Facebook basically going in on us, talking about I'm not that mama to play with the niggas in the street. And you know, I'm just thinking to myself, any parent that has experienced some things with their children, whatever, I wouldn't go to Facebook when it came to my children. She says that I was making subliminal posts. Well, the post had my stepmom, it had Jennifer in it, and not my mom. So I felt like that may have been a subliminal because my stepdad, my brother and sister, my mom is not with their dad anymore, but he was in that post as well. So I felt like maybe that was a subliminal, because the other subliminal messages I was putting on Facebook was just real life shit, like maybe grandparents not watching it was just messy. So for me, I was like, I wouldn't even do that to my kids. So, you know, I'm thinking any other parent would feel like they wouldn't either, but whatever. It was just a certain thing where I was like, you know, even this I wouldn't do to my children. I would talk things out because I don't know what was said either. Whoever told her could have been like, oh yeah, she was dogging you out, throwing your whoop-de-woo in your face, this situation in your face. But did I hold it against my mom? No, because I forgave her however many years down the line. I've forgiven her for a lot of things that I felt like were not right, that was done to me and my siblings, you know. So I had to forgive her for things that she didn't even do to me, but to my other siblings. Like, it was more of trying to let my sister know that, hey, I'm your big sister, because there was also this thing where, oh, well, she feels like you don't love her, you ain't never checked up on her. You want to know something? Like, I honestly felt like maybe I wasn't loved either, because even though they say, oh yeah, she praised you and whoop-de-woo, she may have posted me on Instagram when it came to YouTube, but she posted our other sibling way more. Did I get offended? No. I had to learn that people make mistakes and grow daily. Some people fucking don't, though. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Some people do not. I mean, the salad. Like I said, I don't know what was said, but some of the truth had to be told, because she didn't go to me. She went to Facebook, and it turned into, before you go tell people what I did to you, make sure you tell them what you did to me. I was a child. Children do things all the time. Children steal their parents' cars. I never did that. Children go and do things all the time. You think my dad went on Facebook, and this is gonna be another story time. You think my dad went on social media and was like, yeah, this one time Chanel snuck a boy in the house and hid him in the closet? Do you think that my dad would do that? Even to this day, if I pissed him off, he'd be like, oh well, it is what it is. Maybe we might be able to talk it out because of the relationship we have, but do you think he would go and do that? No. Children are disrespectful as fuck. That's what comes with having children. You know, sometimes children respect you to another level because of the type of parent you are and the type of structure you have. Other times, children are just rebels, whatever the case may be. They might got another parent in their ear. But this situation, I was just like, it's not even worth trying to, because I used to cry and beg my mom to talk to me whenever she was mad at me. I don't want the boys to feel like they have to do that. I want to be able to talk things out with them. And I'm not saying my dad and Jennifer were perfect parents. Nobody's perfect. Even now, my children are going to grow up talking shit about me behind my back, because that's what kids do, and they will vent. There's a difference between talking shit and venting about what was done to you, and I have to understand that they're gonna do both. There's different ways to handle it. They might hurt my feelings, very much so. I am prepared for my feelings to be hurt by my damn kid, but I love them unconditionally. I always felt like sometimes it was conditional. I wouldn't say she loved me conditionally, but there was limitations. Like this right here, she don't give a fuck if we don't talk. And at this point, I don't either. But I only say that because I'm tired of being the one trying. Every time we rekindled our relationships, because I begged her, I talked to her. My brother came to me and said, you need to go talk to mom. Yeah, she might miss me, but she ain't saying shit to me. There was just so many times where us as children came to her. And maybe that's just the way she was raised, but I don't like it. And there was just certain things that you could not say to her. It wasn't gonna be good. It was not gonna go good. So if anything, that was messy as hell for them to go back and do some lame shit like that, because it wasn't her fucking business to tell. That was my story to tell my mom when I was ready. But I don't even care anymore, because at the same time, it was going to be done whether we all liked it or not. Whether I went to therapy about the shit or went to my mom. But I asked Jennifer, asked Sean, Big Sean. We call him Big Sean because my little brother's name is Sean. I know you guys aren't gonna ask him, but I was preparing myself to be like, you know what? We need to talk things out, because if we can't, like, you know, I was preparing myself. It wasn't necessarily talking shit, it was getting guidance from other parents. Just like I went to my mom about things as well. To get guidance, or because I felt bad about some shit that I did to my parents, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you talk to certain people about certain things because you know you can go to them. And I get it. Again, I was telling business that really wasn't my business to tell, but at the same time, it affected my life deeply, greatly.